committing themselves to civil rights, the new government.
The battle has ended. Good morning.
1969.
This Mary Charter is not only a guide to those who lead our nation in government.
Notice, Lieutenant General Frederick Ekofo.
Public in an attempt to make scapegoats of Rawlings and his men.
For the first time in Ghana, a group of junior army officers had attempted to
country. After 3 months, they handed over to a civilian government under Hilal Liman.
I will set the appropriate examples myself.
B. Parliament is dissolved. C.
Error has come into being in this country. Supposed to be 24.
Of the free maternity care for our women. Late President numerous occasions. Good job.
So welcome to United Cadets from TV. Today we are going to discuss very important issues in the wake of the 2024 general elections. And we have here to give us deep insights Professor Gavua, University of Ghana, Archaeology and Heritage Studies. And he's going to give us deep insights since he's been studying history of politics since pre-independence through these various governments in Ghana. So we are here for him to give us what we need to expect and what NDC government needs to do in the wake of the victory that has come in these general elections. Welcome, Prof. And we have all ears for you to tell us and to advise us what we need to do.
Thank you very much. It is indeed welcome news that there is a change of regime, and I would say it is a revolution led by civilians. It's a similar thing that transpired at the time Jerry John Rawlings and junior officers of the Ghana Armed Forces took over the reign of this country. The same spontaneity by which the public supported Jerry John Rawlings is similar to the way everybody went out, voted, and then decided that we needed to change. This time, we are in the democratic dispensation. So the change, the revolution, it's within that dispensation. Now, what do we have to do as a people? First, as a political party, National Democratic Congress, is the realization, as observed by the leader of the party and the president-elect, John Mahama, that this is about the interests of Ghanaians, and we can't take Ghanaians for granted. Ghanaians are tired with regard to the way leadership has been demeaned, the way the country and its economy has been run down. So we need a total transformation. The party, I suggest, should stick to its vision of resetting Ghana. The course of Ghana has been disrupted over the past 80 years. We have moved back. Jerry John Rawlings once admonished us to be careful, otherwise the country will be set back 50 years. I think we've gone beyond 50 years backward. So there's an enormous task ahead of the incoming NDC regime to reset the country. How do we reset the country? It's by taking actions that will give Ghanaians hope in the future. Give them future imaginaries that Ghana will indeed become a better place to live, not only for the current generations, but future generations. In doing so, the NDC has come up with strategic plans through its manifesto. They have even identified what they will do within the first 120 days of the incoming administration. They should stick to that. The task ahead is enormous. A lot of things confronting Ghanaians, and obviously the government cannot address them all. So the government should prioritize the ones that will bring major satisfaction to Ghanaians, to give them that hope I talked about. The one that would also let them have hope that things will be better. First, to ensure that the loot is addressed, because many people have been angered by the fact that the outgoing government has presided over mediocrity, has presided over state capture, has presided over the looting of the resources of this nation. Obviously, the government cannot recover all, but at least the effort must be made to reclaim much of what the state has been deprived of. That will give hope to Ghanaians. And that will also send signals to those who will be serving in the administration, the incoming administration, that you cannot take things for granted. There must be checks and proper checks and balances within the government. There's no room, there shouldn't be any room for corruption with impunity. There shouldn't be any room for arrogance in leadership. Leadership should be one that will be in partnership with the people who the leaders are representing. We must be tolerant of the people's views, listen to the people, identify what their cardinal interests are, and address them. I talked about the looting and the reclaiming of the loot. The next will be the unbearable taxes that have been imposed on Ghanaians, many of which don't make sense. COVID levy is still there, the E-levy is still there, and so on. And the government knows some of those taxes that are hindering the progress of this nation. It is very difficult to import into this country. Meanwhile, we are not producing much. How do we ensure that the exchange rate is stabilized? The only way is not to be artificial about it, to limit circulation of money and ensure artificial stabilization of the currency, or borrowing into the country and ensuring artificial stability. But it's about encouraging production. Let Ghanaians produce. So aspects of the 24-hour economy that has been propagated should begin as early as possible. We can have 24-hour economy when we have bad roads. So the roads that this regime has started, many of them have been started as part of the campaigning strategy. So we call some of them campaign roads. But once they've started, the incoming regime should ensure that those roads are completed. Because when we have good roads, Ghanaians will commute safely. Goods and services will flow to enhance the 24-hour economy. If you have a job, you can be sure that you get to your workplace safely and as fast as possible. The next will be for Ghanaians to be healthy. If Ghanaians are healthy, they can work 24 hours. So infrastructural development, health is crucial. and then addressing the issue of how we educate and re-educate ourselves, particularly how we educate and re-educate the generations after some of us. The kind of education we are having today is misleading us. We have miseducation, and it is promoting what some of us call the neo-colonial syndrome amongst us, thinking that everything in Ghana is bad and everything from the outside is good. It's that neo-colonial mentality that we have to make sure the new administration works hard to address. Now, education here should not be limited to what we have in the formal educational institutions alone. We should look at what we have in the media, the mass media, the kind of informal education we are having that actually plays or puts down the culture of Ghanaians and promotes cultures that don't fit our context. It's part of the things that cause miseducation. Then in the formal sector, we talk about free SHS as if it's something new. It's something which started way back since Ghana's independence with for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, continued by the NDC administration, repackaged in a way that has not worked effectively by the NPP. So the government, the incoming government, the party has promised to revise and review the free SHS system of education. That has to be looked at because it will affect a cross-section of Ghanaians. And so it is important. Those are some of the things I suggest the government looks at as early as possible to give hope and confidence, hope to Ghanaians, and then build confidence in them that indeed Ghana will transform positively and the Black Star will rise once more. Because other nations are waiting for the example of the Black Star. If the Black Star fails, Africa will fail. Definitely. We should also be mindful of the fact that the NDC is the only political party in Ghana now that is championing the cause of Africans. Because the NPP administration, I would say, was just fronting for those who enslaved us and those who colonized us. The NPP, the forebears of the NPP administration, did not believe in the independence of Ghana. Some of them even traveled to the United Kingdom to lobby that independence should not be given to Ghana as of the time Kwame Nkrumah was seeking Ghana's independence. And we can see that during the past 8 years, the attempts have been made to sell off Ghana's resources, to claim privatization. Private sector as the engine of growth. That was what they propounded, and many people take it on the surface. But do we have the wherewithal to encourage that? Even in bigger nations like the United States of America, when they were in crisis after COVID, it was the states that supported the rebirth of some of the big multinational corporations that went bankrupt. They supported Wall Street and so on and so forth. Here in Ghana, under the guise of privatization, we are just fronting for multinational corporations, other international agencies to come and continue the rape of our resources. Okay? So we must take a second look at that issue of privatization as the engine through which this nation will develop. Whatever the state can do, let the state do it and do it effectively. That is the only way. Even in communist nations like China, they claim that, well, there's no privatization, so it's bad. But let's see where China is today. In terms of its economy, the global economy, in terms of the discipline of the nation, and in terms of prosperity. I am not saying that suddenly Ghana should become a socialist state, okay? It should not become a communist state and so on. But we should be ourselves. We should be ourselves as Africans. This is not the time to please anybody, any nation. This is not the time to be afraid of the big powers of this world. When we respect ourselves as a people, and then we manage our resources genuinely, respect our people, other nations will respect us and treat us fairly. And in that environment, we can develop progressively as a nation. Those are the few words with which I will address your question.
Okay, thank you very much for this very enlightening. But one thing that I have to ask you is a feedback. The major feedback we got whilst we were streaming live elections last weekend was that the youths, what they are looking for is jobs, employment. We need jobs, employment. That is all that they are saying. Because of the lack of employment and income, the frustration is very high. That's why they say this people's revolution has happened. Now, what would you advise that the very people who are put out the 24-hour economy, women's banking, and all the helps that they're going to push for us to get a relief, what would you advise that they do revolutionarily? Because the way the population of youths and the power that has been channeled out through these elections, that means everything must be done along those lines. It must be revolutionary in approach. How would you recommend that, and how would you recommend the NDC government approaching it in that revolutionary manner?
Well, from my studies of this nation vis-a-vis other nations, looking at the economics of Africa and our economic relations globally, I will suggest that in order to make the 24-hour economy real, I mentioned infrastructural development first. That will create some jobs. I mentioned health, the health sector. Our nurses are there. People have gone to nursing school. They are unemployed. And then we think that we should be exporting our nurses whilst people are sick here. That's another area that will create jobs for a section of Ghanaians. Having said that, the government alone, the NDC government alone, whoever is appointed into office, be the finance minister, those in charge of the economic advisory team and so on, they alone cannot address the enormous challenges facing this country in terms of the economy. So I will suggest that as early as possible, the consultative meetings that the leader of the NDC, now president-elect, suggested be organized, okay, for the economy. We have so many Ghanaians that are knowledgeable with regard to the economy of this nation, but who have been sidelined. How many times have we had a meeting with, let me start from the basic levels. How many times has any administration of this nation had a meeting with local business people to seek information from them, to let them brainstorm how things could be improved? No. We only rely on those we call the authorized people, those we think are the experts, those who have the letters. Okay, they are not the only knowledgeable people. There are many people who are businessmen and women who don't have those letters, but who know how we can transform this nation. They have been creating jobs in their little ways. And so let them brainstorm to support government. Let them brainstorm so government can tap ideas from them to revive this economy. We have transport owners. We have those who feed us. Okay? We began a research called Feeding the City. Those who feed us in the city, the chop bar owners, the restaurant owners, how will they improve their services? Because they employ people. Those who fix our cars, despite the fact that we train people as mechanical engineers, it's those who fix. When your car is spoiled, even the doctor of engineering and so on, we send our cars back to the mechanics we call fitters. Have we ever engaged them to share ideas and their experiences with us? Not yet. Our women who crisscross this nation 24 hours from dusk to dawn, those who travel all the way from Accra to Techima Market, all the way to the north to bring tomatoes, or to Burkina Faso, some even lost their lives. What will be their inputs? Those who transport cola all the way to Nigeria, what will be their input? What will be their experiences? We have to tap all those local resources, the human resources, to advise or to make inputs that government can tap from to enhance the lot of this nation. Because if we want to rely only on the theoreticians like us, we will be propounding theories that we learned from the books which don't fit our context. Many of those theories don't fit our context because we don't reconcile them with the reality on the ground. We need practitioners, those who are actively engaged out there in economic activities, to advise, to work with the, in quotes, the experts, okay, to find solutions to our problems. Because the government cannot do any magic. The president-elect is not a magician. He has vision. He has told us his vision, and they have defined their mission, what they intend to do. But the question now is, how do we do it? The way to do it is not to sit in the comfort of air-conditioned rooms and then, based on the theories we've learned in the lecture theaters, draft something and think it will work. We've gone past that era, and that is what has failed us. We want to engage, we must engage the practitioners, those who are out there doing the job. Seek advice, seek knowledge from them. They are the local knowledge bearers. Let me give you one or two examples and stop. You see, sometimes we think that we can be in Accra and bring development to the people. So we go and then we plan with the experts and go and build market stalls. And we say we are bringing development to the rural areas. And nobody patronizes those market stalls. And they are overgrown by weed. Go around the country, you see some of them collapsing. The same way, we'll go and sink boreholes and say we are bringing them water. After the ceremony, after the dancing, the pomp and pageantry, they won't fetch water from there. They claim it's too salty or it's not healthy for them. So money goes down the drain because we have not consulted the local knowledge bearers. We are not developing based on the interest of the people we seek to develop. That is all I'm saying. If we want to achieve the goals of the incoming administration, let us find ways to hold these consultative meetings, to identify clearly how the people want development to be pursued in their respective areas. What will be their priorities to bring jobs, and then we do those. Because job creation should not be a theory. We'll create jobs. Do we have the money to set up the factories, enough factories to create the job? No. So how creative can we be? It will depend on creativity and innovation whilst we learn from our neighbors of the world. But we can be creative if we ignore local knowledge. That's my point.
Yes, thanks a lot. And what advice will you also give to officers who are going to run the various projects that are going to be implemented?
To those who will be appointed to lead the charge as state officials, I would suggest that if they had that kind of idea, they should eschew the mentality that, oh, it is our turn to amass wealth, like the MPP did. It is our turn. This is our time to also make it. This is the time to serve. We must be humble enough to listen to criticism. When people share divergent opinions, it's not necessarily pulling you down. So they must be open-minded. Our leaders must be open-minded, interact with people. You can't separate yourself from the people you are leading, okay, and suddenly turn into a big man. We must overcome that big man syndrome. You get out and you want people to greet you before you greet them. You want somebody to carry your mobile phones, cellular phones for you, and then even a little bag that you can carry, you want somebody to carry it for you all the time to show that you're a big man. Okay? Big man, you see what has happened to the MPP? Suddenly all the big men will become small men. Okay? So I am suggesting that our leaders become humble, serve with humility, be open-minded, okay? And that is all the advice I'll give to them. And focus on the job. Hard work. They are not the only custodians of knowledge. There are so many people out there they could consult, formally and informally, to ensure that they become efficient on the job.
You have concentrated very much on the consultation and the expansion of the knowledge base to include the non-formal. And but you mentioned a topic that if we begin, it will be, maybe, I don't know, it will be too big, the aspect of corruption, which is a huge topic. The consequences so vast, including defeat, electorally, and so forth. But it has also maybe pros and cons. The other flip side of it too is what the fire at the NDC. So I don't know whether we should continue or we should break it so that we'll take it out.
I think we should defer that for another occasion.
Yeah.
Because it's a huge topic.
Yeah.
That we need to address into detail.
Yes. So thank you very much, Professor Kojo Gavua, and we shall soon be back because we need to be very much in line with the development of the country. And very soon we are going to do this weekly analysis and appraisal of how the government is doing, what direction it's going, and the character it is taking. Because the character develops, just as we saw the character of the MPP and the Akufo-Addo. So thanks a lot, Prof, and we shall soon be back to get more from you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to share my views.
Okay, bye.
Committing themselves to civil rights, the new government.
The battle has ended.
Good morning.
1969.
This Mary Charter is not only a guide to those who lead our nation in government.
Notice, Lieutenant General Frederick Ekufu.
Public in an attempt to make scapegoats of Rawlings and his men.
For the first time in Ghana, a group of junior army officers had attempted to
Country. After 3 months, they handed over to a civilian government under Hilal Liman.
I will set the appropriate examples myself.
From B. Parliament is dissolved. C.
Error has come into being in this country. Supposed to be 24.
Of the free maternity care for our women. Late President